everyone, this is Dawn. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to another edition of Makers with Heart. This month, the Makers with Heart are featuring stencils. So be sure to click on the playlist at the end of this video to find all of the Makers with Heart videos featuring various stencils that are found in the core catalog. I've chosen Card Front Stencil Pack 3. This is the pack of stencils that has various plaids that you can combine or use alone to create plaid card fronts. Okay, so I'm going to use oxide inks on one card and then Close to My Heart inks on another card. I'm also going to use some papaya glitter paper and this month's stamp of the month. This is January 2022 stamp of the month called Sweet Little Things. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to cut a piece of white daisy cardstock at 4 by 5 1/4 so that I can layer this on colored cardstock and have a border around my plaid. And then I'm going to bring in my spritz box and some pixie spray. This is a low tack adhesive, and you just spritz it on the back of your stencils and let it set up for a couple seconds, and then it's ready to go and you can use it multiple times after you spritz it once. Okay, so I'm just going to spritz all of mine so they're ready to go. All right, I'm going to start out with this. It's kind of a buffalo plaid looking stencil, and I'm going to lay this down over my piece of white daisy. Make sure it's completely secured so ink doesn't scooch underneath the edges. There's a lot of tiny openings. And I'm going to use Tattered Rose along with Abandoned Coral. So I'm just kind of pouncing on my stencil and twisting to get into all those tiny little spaces to get ink onto my white daisy. Okay, so I've got that completely covered, and then I can peel off my stencil. Ta-da! All right, now I'm going to layer these little, they look like plus marks, plus signs. And so I'm going to set it up so that the stencil has those little images in the open spaces between the lines of the plaid. Okay, you'll see as soon as I start blending some ink. So again, I'm going to pounce and twist and get the ink into all those little spaces. Okay, I've worked all the ink in and I'm ready to peel off my stencil. There it is. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so now I have my card front background and I'm going to do some stamping to create a card. So I'm going to bring some white daisy in and cut some off, and I'm going to make a shaker card. And then I'm going to cut off about an inch of some papaya. This is the light side of papaya, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment on that. Okay, so I'm just laying down my shaker window thin cut so I have an idea of where to stamp. And I'm going to stamp this cute little mouse from the stamp of the month. And this stamp set you can get for $5 with any $50 purchase during the month of January, or for free if you're a VIP. So I'm going to stamp him in black ink on white daisy, and I'm going to color him in using tri-blend markers. And then I'm stamping the sentiment also in black that says, "You make me smile." So I'm going to create a little banner out of this piece. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to cut everything out. I'm going to first cut this base piece for my shaker and place it over the little mouse and cut that out. And then I'm going to bring in some of this papaya glitter paper and cut out the frame. Okay. All right. And then off camera, I'm going to color this little guy in using the tri-blends. Okay, so now he's all colored in and we're ready to start building a card. So I'm going to trim my sentiment and create a little banner. I'm going to dovetail both ends. So you just snip from the middle and then take each corner to meet that snip to cut out your little triangle at each end. And then I'm going to bring in some more of this glitter paper, and I'm just going to cut a little sliver. It's about 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to lay that down along the bottom of my banner and then just cut diagonal lines to continue that cut so that I can accent my sentiment. Okay. All right. Now we're ready to start building our shaker. So I have this shaker window foam and acetate, and I've started the acetate piece, and then I just peel the circle of foam away from the base. So the top of it still has the protective coating, but the bottom is sticky. And then I'll lay that down on my little circle there. And then I'm going to use some of this anti-static powder around the edges so that my little doodads that I put inside my shaker don't stick to the sides there. So I'm using some of this flower confetti. It's iridescent. I didn't want a lot of color to cover up my mouse because I want you to see him through the window. And then you just peel the top coating off and then lay down your acetate on top of that. And then you can peel off the protective coating off the acetate. And then I'm just going to lay this glitter circle down using some Tombow tape runner. And then lay that down on top. And then you have your shaker. Pretty easy, but so cute, huh? Okay, now we can start building our card. I have an A2 card base. It's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I'm going to do a portrait side fold, and then I'm going to bring in some papaya cardstock and cut this at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So that's going to be my border around my plaid. So we'll lay that down, and it's the dark side of papaya. And then I'll lay my plaid background down. And then I thought I was going to put my shaker down right in the middle, but it just felt like it was floating there and it needed a little extra something. So I'm going to bring in some more papaya, and I'm going to cut a strip at about 1 1/4 inches by 4 1/4. I'm going to lay that down first to kind of anchor my shaker. Okay. I'm going to place that down, and then I'll place my shaker down. That looks better. And then I'm going to pop my sentiment using some of this foam that's left over from the shaker. That's in the center. Keep that and use it for other projects. I'll lay my sentiment down, and then this little strip of glitter paper I'm going to add right at the bottom to accent it. A little tiny strip, but it really does make a difference. And there's my finished card. That mouse is so cute. These stencils are fun to work with. You can make any colors you want. Okay, let's do another one. So this time I'm going to do a landscape, and I'm going to use these this stencil that has the diagonal lines. So I have it laid down on my white daisy cardstock, and I'm going to use a blending brush. And when you use this blending brush with these tiny little cuts, make sure that you blend in the direction of the diagonal. Don't fight it because otherwise ink will scooch underneath the lines. So just go along each line along the diagonal. And then I'm going to clean off my stencil, okay? Because I want to make crisscross lines. So you have to flip your stencil over to create those opposite diagonal lines. Okay, so I have it flipped over and laid down, and then I'm going to do the same thing and blend ink, go with the grain in the direction of all those lines and get that ink worked in. Okay, and then you have your crisscross and diagonals. All right, so now I have my base done, and I'm going to make some more plaids to use on my card front. So I have a piece of mint cardstock, and this is the light side of mint, and I'm just cutting off a bit. It's not any particular dimensions. Just want to make a banner, and I'm going to lay down this buffalo plaid stencil over it. And this time I'm going to use some Harbor ink. It really pops on the mint cardstock. So I'm going to work that in just like I did the other ones. All right. And there's the reveal. Okay, so now let's do another one. This is the dark side of papaya, and it's that same stencil. And I'm going to use papaya ink. And I'm going to work that in. Okay. And then I'm going to take this stencil that has the diagonal lines, and instead of laying it down so the lines are diagonal, I'm going to have them go along the lines of the plaid so they're horizontal. So I'll work that ink in and get some stripes underneath that main portion of the plaid. So not a ton of this will be seen once I start building my card, so I think that's good. It's just enough for a little interest. All right, now it's time to do some stamping, and I'm going to use this cute little bear with the honeybee. Stamp him in black ink. And then I'm going to stamp my sentiment in Harbor, and it says, "You mean the world to me." So cute. Okay. Get cleaned up, and then off screen, I'm going to color him in using the tri-blend markers. Okay, he's ready to go, so I'm just going to trim around this image, and I won't know the size until I'm done trimming them out. So it turned out to be about 2 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to bring in some Harbor, and I'm going to create a border to go around my little bear image. Okay, so I'm just adding about 1/4 of an inch on each side to layer that. And then I'm going to cut my base of Harbor at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, now we're ready to start building our card. I have an A2 card base, and this one's going to be landscape. So I'm going to lay down that Harbor with Tombow tape runner. And then I'll lay down my base piece. So there's a border around all the edges in Harbor. And I'm going to get my sentiment and image ready to go. Layer that up. And now I'm going to trim my plaid pieces that I created. So I'm going to create banners with them. So you just snip in the center and then take each corner to meet that snip. And at first I thought I was going to take them horizontally along this card, but too much of the plaid was being covered up. So I'm going to go ahead and snip up the second piece, and create a banner. And then I decided that I wanted them to go vertically. I like that better. Okay. So I'm going to trim those up so they fit. I'll get them layered in. There we go. It's starting to work. We're getting there. Get those trimmed up, and then I'm going to bring in a piece of this papaya glitter paper and create another little banner to layer in there. Okay. So we'll get all those down with Tombow, and then we'll pop this panel with foam tape. It's that leftover foam tape from the shaker. And then I have some of these dots. These are from a retired collection called Daisy Meadows, but you can use black and white dots or sparkles or any kind of embellishments that you like, just to have something in that white space in the corner. And there's my finished card. I'll make a list of supplies with links in the description below. So be sure to click on the playlist at the end of this video to see what the other Makers with Heart collaborators have done with stencils this month. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button so you'll be able to find all of my videos. And thanks for watching.